Hello, everyone, and in this lecture, let's continue talking about the rest of the themes. We have governance in Julius Caesar, we do have also fortune, and we have deception as a theme. So, I shared with you the PDF file. Please follow up with me the discussion about the major themes. So, let's start with governance, and as I have already explained to you, in our previous lectures about the monarchy thing and about the republican thing. So, governance is considered to be as a major theme in Julius Caesar, explicitly that of Rome, but implicitly that of England. So, whenever we talk about Julius Caesar as a play, there is always a connection between Rome and England. And what the whole play is about precisely is considered to be as a subject of a critical debate. So, uh, the in England, in 1599, England was a monarchy during that time, as you remember, student, and people during that time wanted to remove Elizabeth from the throne, and the most important thing is that they wanted to remove Elizabeth, but at the same time replace her with a different ruler, and they will never ever change the government from a monarchy to a republic. Rather, it will stay as it is as a monarchy, but they wanted a different leader, king, or whatever. So we can sense that the deep change or the profound change that was to occur was exactly in the middle of the next century with the execution of James's son Charles I in 1649. So, when we talk about Shakespearean play, and we know that the play remained popular with audience right up until the closure of theaters in 1642, and during that time, it was actually a civil war. If you also do remember this, when we talked about the time in which Shakespeare wrote our play Julius Caesar. So the play itself might probably seems as a prophetic, which means like predicting something that will happen in a future, especially when it comes to the government part, whether it's going to be a monarchical or a republican. And however, no one could have predicted that in a mere 50 years England would discard centuries of a tradition and find itself a republic. So, what it meant here is that no one ever could have predicted that England will be, especially when it comes to the government, will be uh, changing its tradition and become, or let's say, change the government from a monarchy and becomes a republic. So the discussion about the republic or republicanism, so it was very obvious during Shakespearean life, and also there's a couple of books here about republic and the role of republic, and a couple of people also connect the republic to Shakespearean theater, and there's also a public discussion about the role of the parliament. So, the matter of changing from monarchy to republic, it was actually not a new, rather it was also during Shakespearean time. So, the role of the masses or the role of people is a really considered to be as a theme of discussion, because traditionally the question the play is the question that is important during when we talk about our play. The most important question to raise is, what do you think, student? Do you think that Rome would be better off as a republic or as a monarchy? And we also talking about what is the meaning of republic and what is the meaning of monarchy. So try to distinguish between the two things. So the answer to this question, whether Rome would be a better place for if it were a republic or a monarchy, um, this question cannot be answered exactly within the play because Shakespeare, with no doubt, couldn't uh, find enough time or space to provide any historical background about this whole republic thing. So we have only 5 acts in the play, and Shakespeare didn't provide the audience with any historical background so that they can rely on this background to give a meaningful conclusion, especially about the republic and about the monarchy. So let's come to the historically. We know that Brutus was a descendant of Lucius Brutus, who was the founder of the Roman Republic, and we do have a lot of information uh, about Brutus, and with no doubt we knew that Brutus was idealized the republic founded by his possible ancestor. Although that republic was in effect of a couple of states in which the plebeians led truly miserable lives. So for Brutus to have been a true idealist that various critics make him out to be, so he would have had to be ignorant of the personal cruelty of his iconic ancestor and the nature of the republic that he established. So, in fact, the conspirators generally must have had short memories because the Roman Republic in the period immediately preceding the time of the play was under the control of Pompey and Sulla. So, both of those two things, reigns, let's say, led people to terror and miserable life. So, we have here a very important thing, student, to discuss, which is the let's say the article being written by as we have here Philip Goldfarb, and his article is continual factions, which means a couple of groups or sections. So we do have politics, friendship, and history in Julius Caesar. So this is the name of his article, and in his article he argues and he said something very important. He said that the era of the Roman Republic in which Shakespeare chose to set his play was characterized by the novel centrality of factions, with Brutus and Cassius following Pompey and Sulla, and Caesar, Octavius, Antony, and Lepidus following Marius. So what is he talking about now? So Philip in his article talking about something very important, which is he said that the matter of the republic and the matter of the monarchy was not there actually in the play because the focus was on the factions, or the focus was on the groups, on the friendships of the people, because as I have already explained to you, there were 2 groups, the good and the bad group, right? So we have here a centrality of factions, which means the factions, like the groups we have, is considered to be as a central theme in our play. So he said that the play is, by reading, less concerned with determining if Rome should become a monarchy or a republic, but instead which contending faction will triumph. So this is exactly what we are talking about. So the play is not actually concerned if you watch, or let's say the movie, and also watch a couple of articles, or read, excuse me, a couple of articles, you would probably realize that the most important theme in the play is the factions, like the groups, the good and evil group that the army that was there by the end of the battle. We have the good people, and on the other side we have the bad people. So the play, we cannot actually sense there's any talk about monarchy or republic thing, right? We do have a couple of groups, and the play is concerned with which one of the groups or the factions will make it a victory. So that's the most important thing in our play. And the incredible power of factions under Elizabeth's government make this interpretation appealing on a number of levels. So, which means there is also a connection between the factions in our play and the faction in Elizabethan time. So, ultimately, however, whether this political unit is a faction, a republic, or a monarchy, one can find a parallel in Elizabethan England. So, as I have already said, the play is connected with Elizabethan time or England during that time. Whenever we want to read something in the play, there is a parallel thing that is connected to Elizabeth. It doesn't matter whether this thing is about a monarchy or a republic or about the factions. It's there. The connection is there, and we have, the variety of interpretations suggest that the moral ambiguity Shakespeare has introduced to his source material is not deliberate but essential. So Shakespeare didn't actually make this ambiguity deliberately. Rather, it was considered to be as an essential part of our play. So let's come to the second theme, which is fortune. So in fortune, we have the prevalence of omens, prophecies in Julius Caesar, signifies a very important thing, which is the fortune and the relative powerlessness of men in human affairs. So, despite Calpurnia's, let's say, great efforts in, in changing, or let's say also in changing Caesar's mind, and despite her offers to keep him home, because she had dreamt about Caesar, so her dream came true no matter what she did to stop him from going to the capital the next day. And also for Brutus, especially Brutus' desire to prevent Rome from becoming a monarchy, it is in his involvement in the assassination that ultimately brings about the rule of Octavius. So we have Brutus who wanted actually Rome to be a republic, but rather he make it himself a monarchy because he killed Caesar, and then we do have an Caesar after Caesar. His name is Octavius, who's gonna be ruling after Caesar. So he couldn't actually change the future. He couldn't because these things are meant to happen, so that's why it happened. And if you also do remember studying about fate, and we said whether we can control our fate or whether we can control our future. So in both of like Calpurnia and Brutus, both of them couldn't actually change the future because killing Caesar is gonna happen no matter what they did. And Brutus also a desire to make Rome as a republic was also felt because he make it himself a monarchy. So do you see this is student? So Brutus the intellectual does not understand the nature of history and human inability to control future events. So Brutus as a great character, he should also remember that a human being cannot actually control a future and change a future. So we actually see a couple of the same things happen in a lot of Shakespearean plays, especially in the histories and the tragedies, such as Romeo and Juliet. We have also in we also have in Iago in Othello, and so is in Macbeth and Richard III. So uh, the idea that one can manage the future in manage the future is in itself a form of a hubris. So this is like the whole idea about changing the future is kind of like uh, only connected to those who have ego, or they think themselves that they can control everything. So this whole idea cannot a student work actually with normal people. Only those people who have uh, hubris, or let's say ego, they believe that they can change the future. And it is obviously not limited to those with bad intention. Um, and Shakespeare normally relate this, controlling the future. Normally, Shakespeare relate it and consider it as a characteristics of a human nature. So, yes, of course, it is considered to be as a characteristics of human nature because we all want it to change our future, but it's already there. It's already been written, and um, we cannot actually change it. Uh, After all, people like to believe they are always in control, but they are not always in control in real life or in Shakespeare's plays. So, so in as much as change is the only known constant, the vagaries, or let's say the illusion of fortune and power, are inevitable conditions of a human experience. So these things like the illusions and thinking like you are in a power is considered something inescapable, and it's related to human experience. And all of these things are considered to be the heart of Greek tragedy. And Shakespeare incorporates them in his tragedies and in his histories as well. So we have in 44 BC, Julius Caesar held absolute power in Rome in all but name. So there is actually an irony in the day that Caesar was killed, because at the same day that Caesar was killed was supposed to be proclaimed a king. So this considered to be as an irony, and the irony here is intensified by the knowledge that he had narrowly escaped death on more than one occasion in his military campaigns. So, uh, how can I make it clear for you? So, student, uh, Caesar was truly self assured that nothing will happen to him, right? And um, if he not if he was not actually assured, then he could have escaped assassination. So he had that kind of ego within himself, self pride, or making himself thinking like he's a godlike figure. And we do also have Artemidaris, who said to him, he was holding a letter, and he said, Caesar, if you read this, then you may probably live, and if you not, then the fates, and we come to the fate student in relation to the future. The fates with traitors do contrive, interfere, and which means you're gonna die. So, Shakespeare relies on the audience's knowledge that Caesar's death is inevitable, which means something cannot be escaped, inescapable, even as he highlights the occasion on which it might have been prevented. So, student, when we were talking about Caesar's death, and we said that can Caesar, if he truly listened to Artemidaris and the soothsayer, would he escape his death? Then here, kind of like there's an answer, no, because such a thing is inevitable. Such a thing is gonna happen, no matter how he wanted to change it, right? So this is all about the fortune student, and then let's go to the other theme, which is deception. So deception, whether it's going to be a self-deception, and let's focus on this self-deception or deception by others, is essential in Shakespearean tragedy. So we have Caesar, and we said that Caesar was easily deceived by his vanity, and also we have each one of the characters in the play, uh, with the exception of the soothsayer Artemidaris, who possesses supernatural wisdom, is deceived by the conspirators, even Antony. We have California too, got the sense that something is gonna happen to her prophetic dream. Cicero and the other might suspect something untoward, but Shakespeare does not pursue their possible suspicion. So the senses in the play that most clearly demonstrate the scenes, in the play that demonstrate the deception part is Act 2, Scene 2, when the conspirators come to Caesar's house to escort him to his death. So we have here the deception, number 1. And in Act 3, Scene 1, when Antony appears before the conspirators and as if he was as if he was kind of like a friend to them. So we have here another deception. And you might probably be very shocked because we we think that, like, or let's say the writer also thinks that the prevailing opinion about Brutus is considered to be as a masterful deceiver. So, though he's a nobleman, but he's a masterful deceiver in many parts. So, before the conspirators come to his house, he soliloquizes a couple of words within himself. So, he said, "Conspiracy, hide it in smiles and affability," which means we're gonna hide the conspiracy with a smile. So he's also considered to be one of the master deceivers. And also after they plan and after the conspirators left his house, he said, "Good gentlemen, look fresh and merrily. Let not our looks put on our purposes." What he means by that, try not to show on your faces that we are planning against Caesar. Try to look very friendly, try to smile, try to act as if nothing gonna happen. So we do have Brutus as a masterful deceiver. And these lines are similar to Lady Macbeth, if you ever read Macbeth. And we can sense and we can say that Brutus is a master of self-deception as well. So he can call the conspirators sacrificers but not butchers. And we know that he finds no evidence that Caesar will govern badly, as we have said. They said he was ambitious, but he didn't have a clue, right? And yet he persuaded himself that Caesar is like a serpent egg that must be crushed. And he is convinced by Antony that he is harmless. So student, he also is convinced that Antony is harmless, but Antony deceived him. So we do have a lot of deception in our play, and as I have said, that Brutus is considered to be the master of deception. So in sum, let's come to the conclusion. In our play somehow resembles or all Shakespearean self-assured tragic heroes plays, such as Macbeth and Coriolanus as well. So, whether the question is about governance or whether the question about fortune or deception, there are hundreds and hundreds of themes about our play Julius Caesar. And when we talk about each single theme, then we can relate it directly to the characters. So I hope our lecture is clear, student, and thank you for listening.